inspiring biblical families. Turning Hearts Podcast with your hosts, Ryan Phillips and Dennis Aldy.
Welcome, everybody, to Turning Hearts Podcast. Ryan Phillips, Dennis Aldy. How you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing good.
Good. Well, today, let's jump into family time. We've talked about it a little bit before, gotten into vaguely what it's about, but let's dive in a little deeper today. What is family time?
Yeah.
Why do we need to do it? What does it look like in the Aldy family?
Sure.
And how has it benefited you guys to do that?
Yeah, when I think about family time, it's been such a part of the Aldy life, Aldy family. We've been married a little over 31 years, and I don't know how we got started on family time, but as long as I can remember, we've been doing family time, and so we meet families constantly, and they're like, "How did you guys do?" And I'm like, "Family time." So it's this answer we give constantly is have family time, and they're like, "What do you mean? We eat supper together?" Or that even isn't so common anymore. Mm-hmm. But family time, it's this scheduled weekly or twice a week, whatever works, as much as possible, but a minimum of once a week, I think, scheduled time where the family comes together to focus on itself, to focus on building the relationships, to focus on, how are we doing as a family? We call it family night. We call it family time. For the Aldys, like I say, I don't remember how long, but it's in the schedule. And that's a couple of things. I'll stress a few things about it that have to be, because I've never met anybody that didn't say, "I love my family. My family is one of my top priorities." But, it's like everything else. Where your money is, where your time is, those are your priorities. And for so many of us now, we're in a season right now with this virus thing where we're not supposed to be so close to each other, where, we're not supposed to, we have more time with our family, but the busyness of life is robbing us of family time. Mm-hmm. I know many dads, many families that they schedule it, but something comes up every week. This happened this week and we weren't expecting it. So family time gets put aside. And when that happens, we lose it. And we're teaching our family something about the family when it gets put aside. Okay. So I'll get back to defining it. Mm-hmm. It's just a committed time on a schedule that we do not break. And I can't overstress enough, how important it is that we have family time, that it not be broken. Dads, your job, something came up, that it's not more important than family time. And I would say that to dads out there and to moms. For the Aldys, forever it was Thursday night. And I turned down money-making job opportunities because I had a commitment of family time on Thursday night. And when it moved to Tuesday night, if it affected something, dads, if you teach your family that it's the most important thing in your life by putting your money there, mm-hmm. and the way I put my money there is I gave up money to be there.
You put the value above.
Yeah, the value of this is it's way above. And if we're okay with missing it when our kids get 14, when they get 16, when they get 18, they're going to be okay missing it, because that's how we taught them. We taught them that this is good as long as there's nothing else in the way. And we have to reverse that. So I say the word commitment, and I understand how easy it is. And we all say, well, we've been praying for the Lord to provide more money for us. And it came on family night was the option. And I say it wasn't the Lord. The Lord didn't provide it for you. I would say the enemy's trying to rob you of something way more valuable than money. And so dads, wives, families, develop family times. Get a calendar and put it. It's every week, Tuesday night, Monday night. It doesn't matter when, but it's there. Give the time it starts, 6 o'clock, and then be there.
Yeah.
Be there. No matter what, be there. Now, when I say no matter what, we're humans. I can think in my life where, I worked a full-time job. I had all these things, and something came up that I had no control over. My work demanded that I be there. Well, the beauty of today is that we can, if Dad has to go away on a business trip, again, hopefully that's 10% of the time, though. The problem is that happens 90% of the time, and family time happens 10%. So, again, we're teaching something. But we can video chat it if Dad has to be gone or Mom has to be gone. Or if we knew that something came up this week that was going to affect family time, just that week, I would announce to the family, hey, something's up Tuesday night. Family time is the priority of our family. So this week it's Friday night. And I would move it that week only. I would be gone on that Tuesday or whatever. Friday night came along, though. I didn't forget it. I didn't forget it. So it's important. And here's again where I encourage men. Men are all time asking us, how do I be the leader of my home? This is the way. This is how you do it. You initiate. You call the family together and say, we're going to start family night. It's going to be the best night of your life. It's going to be the best night of our family's life. We're going to do it every week, no matter what. It's going to be at 6 o'clock. It's going to be different. It's not this same. It's not, that we're going to preach every night.
Yeah.
We're going to be together as a family. The verse that comes to my mind that I encourage with this, and it's this whole concept of family time is this focused time on our family. It's making family priority. But the verse it's in Galatians, I want to say, do not give up. Do not grow weary in well-doing. If you don't give up, you will reap where you sow. And so growing up, it's kind of like we in the church have adopted this reality that when I was 18 or 19 or 16, when they hit that age, we lose them. They begin to rebel and all these things. And there's a lot of reasons why. Family time isn't the cure for that, because everything cures that. There's not one thing to cure this rebellious possibility. But if we have had a commitment and we have sown into the family for 16 years, once a week, 16 years, once a week, 80% of the time, 16 years, commitment, priority. All of a sudden, a 16-year-old, we begin to reap now with that 16, 17, 19. We're reaping that they want to be here. And I'll say, by the grace of God, a testimony of the Aldy family. We have a 24-year-old. He's either 23 or 20, still living at home. He works and it's a blessing, and a lot of, ideas on if he should be living home or not. He pays rent. We're doing good. Yeah. It's a blessing for us. It's a blessing for him. And we have a 21 or 22-year-old, a 19-year-old, a 17-year-old. And today, at that age, they still prioritize family time. It's a treasure for our family. They get invited all the time, their work or their friends, they want to do something. And if it's the night that the Aldy family has on the calendar, family time, they'll come to me and they're like, Dad, our group of friends, they were all going to do this on so-and-so. So I told them no, because it's family night. And they're not like, Dad, I'm so angry. We have family time. Can I miss it? Now, they've asked to miss it. They have. Certain things come up, but again, it's those once in a while opportunities. And I'm like, man, you miss it tonight. Go do that. But that's after decades, literally, of us being at family time. Mm-hmm. So be there.
So it's safe to say that your kids will only value your family as much as you
absolutely
value. So this is a good way. And if you make a big deal about missing it, like you were saying with work or whatever, then they'll make a big deal out of missing it.
Yeah.
I got to do this, but this is a one-time deal, and I wish I didn't have to, but they'll mirror how important you make it.
Well, and Dara and I, there's a principle in all of parenting. Parent today how you want it to be 20 years from now. That is so hard for families to understand. We're like, well, I want peace today. And we don't recognize that peace we may be, that desire may be teaching something that we won't want when they're 20 years old. Mm-hmm. And so, do I want them to be committed to the family as a 17-year-old son? Then today I'm going to teach commitment to the family. And the priority of family time is one of the greatest ways we do that. Mm-hmm. So what does it look like? How, again, sow this value for family. Mm-hmm. Sow this value for family. Do it constantly, over and over and over, and you'll begin to reap. Again, what a treasure I'm experiencing that my kids want to be with us as 18-year-olds, as 22-year-olds. Now, they have time with their friends. It's not this weird control thing at all. It's the joy of relationships. Mm-hmm. Because mom and dad had a priority, and the priority was family. We said no to many things for years, and now we can watch our kids say no to many things for the same priority system. Mm-hmm. So it's so valuable that we do that. I think about what was it like?
Yeah, what things did you do?
Yeah, what did we do? And I want to say this first because I've had many dads over the year call me up and say, well, we took your parenting class and you said family time, and I just froze like a deer in headlights. What am I going to do? I don't feel great as a leader. I don't know the Bible. I don't, how am I going to teach my kids? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, relax. You're breathing, and you're the dad. That means you're anointed for family time. Yeah. That's the only requirements. You got to have breath and be a dad or a husband. I mean, these are things without children, husband and wife. They don't necessarily have to call it family time, although they could. They just call it date night, But husbands initiate, and I say this, it's kind of silly almost. You be the one that puts it on the calendar. Don't say, wife, you want to put that calendar? No. Husbands, put it on the calendar. Husbands, make the announcement for date night or family time, whichever it is, and then you be it. You be there. Now, the Bible talks about priest in the Old Testament and the job of priest. And I translate that all the way through the New Testament to pastors. We have pastors in our churches or church leaders. And one of their jobs it talks about is to discern the body. Discern the body. What does this, if I'm pastoring a church, so I'm over, I guess I don't like the word pastor as much. I'm the coach of a local group here, I call it.
Discern the team.
Yeah, but I discern what's going on in this local group. And then we go in the direction, or I want to equip in the direction of what I discern we need. So exact same thing, fathers. You can do this in your home. And again, thank God we're not alone. I mean, this is the beauty of husband and wife relationship. Our wives can help us discern what does the family need. And I say that because, when we're facing this, oh no, I'm the dad and my wife wants me to have family night tonight. What am I going to say? What are we going to do? Just take a deep breath and ask the Lord, what does my family need? Mm-hmm. No, just look, ask your wife, what do you think we need? And I've had my wife come to us and say, I can tell that our sons and daughters, there's a lot of tension in the house. And, dad's away at work. He doesn't see it as much. Often that's the case. But the wife says there's a lot of frustration. So family time, I get us together and say, okay, it feels like there's a lot of frustration. What do we need to talk about? I don't always have the answers. And I'm the leader of family time. But I am going to initiate that we talk about it. You know? And then I hear, and all of a sudden one of my sons or daughters says, well, the other day when their brother or sister, they asked them to do something with them and they kind of snapped at them and acted like, then they really felt like that they were just angry and so they begin to share that. And then I just facilitate, well, you know, his heart wasn't to really be angry at you. You know, what, were you mad at him? And maybe they said, I actually was. And it's because 3 weeks before that. And so we just talk. And I don't have, again, all the answers. I just facilitate. So it can be as much as that. Or I can remember a time when our family was just kind of stressed out. And it wasn't that we were all mad at each other. And we had a lot of young kids. Again, we had 7 kids at home, so the ages are ranging from 1-year-olds to 17, 18-year-olds. And I just felt like, again, I'm saying, Lord, family times tomorrow night, what do we need? What do we need? And I just felt like the Lord said we need to laugh. So family time, I just found the funniest video that our family approved. And family night, family time was, we made a bunch of popcorn, we put the video in and laughed. And it was great. And at the end of it, and now I'll say this, at the beginning of it, I said, all right, it's family time, everybody come in here. And we made popcorn, then we laid out, lights were off, watching, and we got up, and I just said, you know what? I love being with y'all. I love everybody in this room. And so the ideas, the practicality of family time is endless, endless. But the heart is, what do I discern my family needs? Sometimes we just need to get out in fresh air and take a walk. Yeah. And that's family time. Sometimes we need to talk about offenses with one another. And those are the more deeper ones. But I can tell you this, our family has regularly, because if you live with somebody, it takes at least 3 minutes to be upset and offended with them, probably. And if you got 9 people living together, that probably cuts it down to about 30 seconds to be offended with somebody in the house. So for us, there was a regular, hey, I'm offended with you. And we've done podcasts on how do we walk through those offenses and repentance and forgiveness and restoration. And so it's a time for that. I remember when our kids were real young, family time, kids have the attention span of 5 minutes, and
they were a lot shorter then.
A lot shorter.
Yeah.
And so family time can be as simple as just reading a story.
Yeah.
A short one. I mean, but it's us in the floor. Dad and mom and all the kids are in the floor, and dad's got a book, or maybe you say, Mom, tonight you read us a story. And so we're reading together and just laughing. For us, our very first family times when we had probably 2 kids or 1 kid was the Believer's Beginner's Bible. And it's cartoon little Bible.
Story Bible.
Yeah, it's bigger pictures than words.
Yeah.
It's like 5 words and I just set the kids around me and I encourage dads, I encourage every human, don't read the Bible like, and God said that he loves us. It's, and God said that he loves us. There's a difference. You got kids in the room.
Right.
And I know it's Anna, but it's us being together is the reality. But I wanted to get on my kids' level. So depending on the age of your kids, it's as simple as just reading a Bible story and saying Moses, and having all the kids say, can you say that? Say it like that. Say it like this. They say Moses. And, or however you want to do it.
Right. Just make it fun.
Make it fun. Yeah. Have a blast with your family. Again, what's being taught is not what you're saying. It's your attitude. It's that Dad's here and he loves this family. So I promise your young children, their number one desire is to do what Dad and Mom do.
Yeah. It's that saying I talk about that I love so much is more is caught than taught.
Absolutely.
So, you can teach the lessons all day long, but the activity that you do and the way that you interact will be picked up way quicker.
It's huge. It's so huge. I would say that, again, I could sit here. Matter of fact, I've made a list, and I've had a lot of people ask for it, so I've got a list, and one day we may just list them all out. I've thought of a lot, and even thought of doing videos to show how simple. I want to say it again. If you're breathing and you have a spouse or children, you can do this. Make it simple, but keep it. Make it simple, but don't let your job, don't let a buddy, don't let a sporting event, don't let the things that so easily encumber us and cause you to miss family time. And then have a blast with it. If you'll think your family's the greatest family on the earth, all of a sudden your kids will think your family is the greatest family on earth. The other thing I would say, and this is a huge subject, is, and I appreciate you and what I've watched with you and your family kind of adopting, we say the word training in righteousness. When's the best time to teach your kids how to obey? When do we most often, when do people most often try to teach obedience and kindness and respect? And we most often teach when everybody in the room's angry because nobody's doing it. And nothing gets taught or accomplished. And then the parents' anger only triples at the fact that, well, didn't you hear me say that yesterday? Why are you not doing this any better? And the concept is, when we send our kids to school, they go to school and they're taught something, and then they practice it and practice it and practice it. Now, sometimes they may get in trouble in school, but they're being taught without conflict. And so if you homeschool your kids, hopefully you don't sit down with everybody mad at each other and say, okay, and now we're going to do math.
Get it right or you're getting a whooping.
No, that's not how you teach. You teach naturally without conflict. So,
perfect time to do it.
Perfect time to do it. Family time. So family time tonight, we took all our children and we said, okay, we want to show y'all, and I appreciate something you said to me one time about the standard of what is expected. And so when I finish it, bring us back to expectations. Because we sat down in family time and I said, okay, here's what the Aldys define obedience. And the first thing I would do is say, Ephesians chapter 6, verse 1. I would read it to my children, even if they're 1 year old and have no idea what I'm saying. I'm convinced the Bible is just that awesome. Children, obey your parents. And I say, okay, everybody say it out loud. Children, obey your parents. Children, we love obedience. Now what does it look like? So in family time, we would put a child across the room and say, okay, Mom, you call Jimmy to come to you. And Jimmy, when Mom says that, you turn around and walk away. And that's not what obedience is. And so Mom would say, Jimmy, come here. And Jimmy would turn around. And then I'd say, all right, everybody go, boo, no. And so the whole family's going, no. And I'd say, that's not obedience, is it? Right. Now, this time, Mommy, you call Jimmy to come to you. And Jimmy, you're going to say, yes, ma'am, Mommy. And then you're going to walk straight to Mom. And so we would play act that. And Mom calls Jimmy. Jimmy says, yes, ma'am, Mommy. Walks over and everybody goes, yay! Obedience. So we just taught them, what does obedience look like? Because we've said this, how many times have we said this? You are always teaching something in your home. Whatever it is you're teaching. If you're not teaching, then you are teaching that there's nothing they need to do, that there's no expectations. So we have to teach our kids. How can they meet an expectation that they've never seen? And there again, so family time is this powerful tool in our house where we're actually teaching our kids what is the Aldy family way. What is and it's slightly different for each family, although the things that aren't different is the biblical standard. Mm-hmm. We all agree that the Bible says children obey. And so I'm teaching my kids what that looks like in the Aldy family. And there's so many more things going on. So we taught obedience, and you do that forever because you have a 4-year-old that you teach it to, and then he's 8, and there's a 2-year-old that hadn't got it yet. Yeah. So we practice obedience again. Mm-hmm. And then now the beauty of the fact that it's been taught, it's been played out for them in front of them. They've all shouted and boo and yay and no. Mm-hmm. Now, when you're in your house and you literally say, hey, Jimmy, take the trash out. He's 7 years old. And Jimmy doesn't say, yes, sir, Dad, and go take the trash out. Then it's just this, there's no conflict, there's no anger, there's no frustration. You just get up, go to the child, say, Daddy said go take the trash out. You chose to disobey. Let's go get whatever discipline we've decided for disobedience. Mm-hmm. So there's no more this conflict and chaos in our homes because of family time. Yeah. Because we've taken that time to teach. And there's so many subjects we can talk about. Don't let me forget as well, let's talk about the different schedules, because we want to encourage dads that some work for 2 weeks, so we'll get back to that. But what are the ideas, this especially for this training in righteousness? Here's where we take the Bible and we teach it to our family. Now, all of a sudden, every day I went, whoa, no, I'm not a preacher, I don't do sermons. No, this isn't sermons. This is this acting out how we want to live the Bible.
Super practical.
Super. This is so simple and practical. And you've been doing this in your family. Yeah. Now in my family, and you're at the beginning stages where we were 20-something years ago, where you were teaching. One of the ones we taught was respect for age. Mm-hmm. The Bible, most people don't know this, the Bible tells us to respect those that are older than us. Okay, so it's not just this old-timey idea. Mm-hmm. It's actually biblical that my 3-year-old respect everyone older than him. So we did a family time on it. And we said, okay, let's all sit around and let's all pretend like we're watching our favorite TV show, or we're playing, we're sitting in the room and we're at an event and all the chairs are taken, and you look up and somebody older than you just walks in the door. What do? And so, we would play act the fact that everybody just put your head down. And of course, hopefully your 3-year-old doesn't own a cell phone, but if they do, let's call me because I'd like to do a podcast with you. But, put your head down and don't pay them any attention that they walked in. No. Or, get loud and just anything to distract the room from the fact that age just walked in. And we primarily think, and you say it's somebody with gray hair, or but a kid knows that they're older. Right. And I don't even think they have to have gray hair. I think just older. Okay. Yeah. So an 18-year-old is older than a 4-year-old. So I wanted to teach my 4-year-old that if an 18-year-old walked in the room, you stood up. If there was no chairs, you stood up and got out of the way. And maybe you even went on and said, you can have my chair. Okay, where does this come into place? And so we practice that. So respect for age was one of the things that we regularly, multiple times taught in family time with our kids. So then all of a sudden, this happens all the time. You're going out to eat at a restaurant and we're in a waiting room, there's a wait, 30-minute wait. So we would bring in 9 people for the wait, and there's 8 chairs in the waiting area. And so we would all be in there, and all of a sudden a young couple in their 30s walks in, and they're now have a wait too. So Dad could choose to do it, but we taught all of our kids to stand up and move over and make room for other adults because we respect age, just because the Bible tells us to. Mm-hmm. It's not because it's a Southern thing or Eastern, whatever. Mm-hmm. The Bible actually tells us to do that, so we do it. There's respect for age. There's Oh, there's so many things we're teaching. Obedience, there's kindness, how to respond to a brother and sister that's not kind, a friend that's not kind. We practice, what do you do when somebody takes your toy? Mm-hmm. How do you handle that scenario? Because that one happens at home.
Well, if you go to a friend's house and, they want to watch a movie, mom and dad,
this one's got to be practiced. Mm-hmm. What a great one. We did that one multiple times. How do you want your kids to act when they're over at a friend's house and that friend has a slightly different way they do things, which they should?
Yeah,
I just thank God people aren't like the Aldys, Yeah. I want you to watch movies that you like because I'm going to watch ones that we like, and we love that about the body of Christ even. So we taught in a family time. Do you just watch the movie? No, if you know mom and dad don't want you to. How do you appropriately say, Mr. So-and-so, would you mind if I not watch that movie? Or just tell your 8-year-old friend, hey, I think I'd rather go outside and play. Y'all are welcome, and we had them do that. Y'all are welcome to watch that movie. I don't mind going out here or going in the room and playing a game or playing Lego. So our kids practice how to handle that scenario. Mm-hmm. We practice how to answer the phone. That's back when you actually had a phone over there tied to the wall, Mm-hmm. We practice what did we want our kids to say when they answered the phone. Yeah. You could teach your kids how does this family handle cell phones? Let's say mom and dad are having cell phone time. You've allowed that in the family. Maybe they're playing a little game on your phone. And I'm thinking of scenarios that we didn't fully have as much. But how do I want you to handle if all of a sudden somebody knocks on the door? Do we just all stay right here? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Or do we stop the game, put it down, stand up, go over and greet someone? And that was a big one. My wife loved and I appreciated how to greet people. Yeah. We taught our kids. So like right now, if you go up and you meet a friend and they have their 3-year-old child there with them, often the child is shy and kind of hiding behind daddy or mommy's leg. And so we understand that. And we're not in any way trying to force something. But the Bible says love is kind. It's not rude. So we taught our kids how to not be rude, how to be kind. And so the Bible's full of family times.
Yeah.
And they're not these long 3-point sermons with Greek words, and it's none of that.
Yeah. It's putting yourself in the mind of a child.
Yeah.
Understand that they're a blank slate.
Yep.
And you're expecting a lot. We talked about the expectation. So try to eliminate the gap between expectation and reality.
Yeah,
and so if you're expecting your child to do something, where are you teaching them?
How do they know that expectation?
How do they know that expectation?
Perfect.
How do I do that?
Yep.
There's plenty of things. I read in a book not that long ago, and a mom was teaching her kids how to do this, and during phone time, like you were saying back then, they had a phone, and she would say, when I picked up that phone, I would say, phone time. And the kids knew, okay, when mom is on the phone, we go over in this corner where there's these books. And the parents had pre-recorded the books because they were young kids. And so they would sit down and listen to this book while mom was on the phone.
Yeah.
And so it's not like that, hey, kid, shut up, I'm on the phone.
Right.
Just this hard time every time you pick up the phone. So.
Yeah. So now the kids knew what phone time
This is what happens when we do this.
Yeah. And kids love to obey. I don't care who your kids are, strong will, weak will, whatever. They are born with a gift from God that is, I want to please my parents.
Yeah.
I want to. Most aren't pleasing parents because they've never been told what it is pleases them in a practical, training way. Family time provides that for you. Mm-hmm. So again, everything that you think. And what helped me develop family times is, again, I would come home from work and my wife would say, I took the kids to the grocery store and, oh, my soul, And so my wife was literally taking sometimes 6 kids to the grocery store,
How they do it.
How did she do it? Well, we got family time, literally, and we said, okay, this is what it looks, this is the wrong way to go to the grocery store. And we taught our kids to hold on to the buggy. And so we took a chair and said, this is the buggy. This is how you hold on. You don't touch things in the grocery store. We put our hands at, we practiced, gave an example. We practiced it over and over and over. And all of a sudden, again, my wife used to have so many people come up to her, or me when I took them, you know, what's wrong with your kids? And we're like, I don't know. Is something wrong with them? And they're like, no, you have 7 kids in the store with you. How did you do that? Mm-hmm. And we're like, well, we just taught them this is how you live life. You know, literally. Yeah. And they didn't know we were investing. First, again, we're setting a priority in our kids' life by demanding, and I say demanding, that sounds like this control. No, by committing to a scheduled time where we teach, we have fun, we discern, we lead the family as parents. You know, dad initiating, but getting mom's input constantly, and mom to help with family time, and so we sowed that priority into them, and then we've taught what it looks like, mm-hmm. and it's amazing how much it can happen. You're getting to reap a lot of that reward in your family. We've watched your mm-hmm. kids and how, you know, they didn't know a lot of these things. Mm-mm. And now you've told me, you know, Titus, different ones. It's just like they come alive to live this thing they've been taught by mom and dad.
Yeah, how many parents hate that moment when you're trying to discipline, the children's not responding to the discipline. You know, you're trying to teach first-time obedience, and they're just not getting it. Yeah. Because you're always handling it kind of in a disciplinary mode. But man, my kids absolutely love play acting, stuff out and learning. And then when the moment comes, you know, you talked about restaurants. When we go to a restaurant and we get that, hey, I just want to tell you guys, your kids are awesome. Yeah. You know, we always bump our kids.
Yeah, that's right. High five.
Yeah, and they absolutely love that.
Great job.
You know, and it reminds me of the scripture. You know, the Lord tells us, "Come to me, my yoke is easy, my burden is light." And I relate that a lot to my family and to the way that we're doing things, is that when the Lord talks about being lost in darkness, you don't know what to do. You don't know where to go.
Man,
you don't know how to act.
What a great way to say it.
And so with our family, what we do is we're going to shed light on all this stuff. So you know what to do in those moments. Yeah. And it's so much easier. Yeah. I mean, when you go to the store, it's easier. When you're in a restaurant, it's easier. This is the easy way to do parenting. Yeah. Not the battle it out every time when it comes to discipline.
Absolutely. So I agree totally. I'll mention last, you know, it's a scheduled event, and I mentioned, you know, we've had some dads that have emailed us and with questions and such, and they work for 2 weeks and then they're home 2 weeks. It doesn't matter at all. There's so many avenues to still have family time. When you come home, you know, if that's a regular, you know, these two home, every Wednesday night is family night mm-hmm. that I'm home. And then when you're not there, you can either, like the last Wednesday night that you're home, you know, next Wednesday night you're not going to be there. At family time, say, hey, everybody, remember, Dad's going to be at work for the next 2 Wednesday nights, but family time is still going to happen. I'm calling. And, you know, today with video time,
pretty much be there.
Almost are there. I don't like video as much as there, obviously, mm-hmm. but it can happen. Or you can say, you know, so we're, you know, maybe mom doesn't want to do it without you there or whatever. There's just every option's okay, mm-hmm. but work it out, schedule it out. Maybe you do 2 a week, the 2 weeks you're home and not, or maybe the weeks you're not there are the weeks you say, so for family time while I'm gone, if it's going to be this movie, and you tell the family next week you and mom are going to watch this movie, and or maybe y'all are going to help mom cook a meal together on the next Wednesday night, and I'm just going to call in while y'all are having it. So options are endless. I could tell you of the probably 3 top family times, and then we'll close. Yeah. With that the Aldys had. We had the idea, so we had 7 kids and 2 adults, so you're slightly outnumbered. So we put the kids in our living room in a circle, you know, kind of 2 feet apart or whatever, 7 spots. Mom and Dad got opposite ends of the room, and we set a timer. This today, as 20-year-olds, our kids will say that was our greatest family time every time. that y'all did it. We set like a 2-minute timer. Okay, so it's not 40 minutes, it just doesn't have to take forever. And so there was a kid in front of Dad, across the room, a child in front of Mom, and literally so the timer would start and I would say, okay, Jimmy, what you been thinking about? For 2 minutes, anything you want to say, Dad's listening. And Mom's doing the same thing over there on the other side of the room. The timer would go off and the kids would just rotate one spot. So whoever was in front of me just went to the right of me. Whoever's to the left, now they're in front. Mom just got a new child in front of them. And timer starts, and for 2 minutes, they all got, and we may have done it for 4 minutes. Different time limits based on what we were doing that night. But they just got undivided mommy and daddy attention, and they loved it when that clock went off and they got to rotate. I mean, it was so much fun. They loved it. Another one we did that to this day is a top. If you had our kids up here, they would say, my favorite one is when we cut all the lights off in the living room and we put on a worship song that our family just loves. And Dad and Mom made us all just get in a spot and be quiet and still before the Lord. And so there was no conversation. You're not having to lead some sermon again. It's just, there's just peace and just be with the Lord for 7-minute song. And so sometimes we did like 5 songs. And so for 30 minutes, the entire house was just at peace. You weren't talking to anyone. We just, in the quietness. And again, we like to cut the lights off in the house. So there was just you and the Lord, your 3-year-old and the Lord. Believe it or not, if there's these, if training is happening in the home, your child will enjoy 5 to 8 minutes of just quietness in the house with the Lord. And tell them that they don't have to pray some great prayer. Just say, be quiet, be still, and listen.
Just enjoy this moment.
Yeah, just enjoy. Yeah. And it would be over, and there'd be such peace in the home. And then I'd cut the lights on, and we'd hug our kids and send them, take them to bed, send them to bed. And that was family time.
Yeah.
It was huge. So I hope that through this, people understand the value, the requirement, sowing and reaping.
Some ideas
the commitment, and some ideas to do it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we'll finish up there. I don't want to forget info at...
Oh, yes. Any questions you have of us that you'd like us to discuss, just email us at info@turninghearts.com, and we'll do a podcast on it.
We love your comments, your stories. If you're already doing something like this, I know lots of families have somewhat similar ideas, and so tell us about that. Give us your questions and thoughts, and bless you all. Have a good day.
Thanks for listening to the Turning Hearts podcast.